Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about rural housing in India. So in this part 1, I'll be focusing more on the present scenario of housing conditions in India with focus on the priorities that has been given to housing over the 5-year plans. Along with food and clothing, housing is one of the basic necessities of mankind. So, adequate housing is an important component in the overall growth and development of an individual, wherewith she can enjoy both physical and mental health and live in a state of security, peace, and dignity. Housing is a fulcrum on which rest all the basic necessities required for a better living. Considering its vital importance and a basic prerequisite, it has been established through various national and international legal explanations and commitments that housing is a fundamental human right. As such, it enforces the government to ensure it through its policies and programs. So, when you talk about a house, it is a shelter, a dwelling, or a lodging unit, or a place. If it is come to a rural housing, it is a place found in the rural area where a family lives and also rear their livestock. It's a physical phenomenon which offered more protection and is, as I said earlier, is one of the basic needs of the human population. Rural areas of India, in general, if you talk, are in great distress today because of the continued apathy, the neglect, and the differentiations they receive from the policymakers and scholars. Farm sector, non-farm sector, basic infrastructure such as roads, water, safe drinking water facilities, electricity, development of agro processing industries, irrigational facilities, these are all have been left lurching for prioritization. So when you talk about the rural housing or the housing scenario in India, especially in the rural areas, it is in excess of 43 million houses. We are in need of around 43 million houses more. The shortage figures of the rural sector are more than twice that of the urban sector. The this is a table which represents the distribution of census houses according to its users in 2011 in millions. So at the time of 2011 census, the table clearly reveals that there was a total of 331 million houses, that is around 66.7% in India, out of which almost the same person 221 million were in rural and 33% were in urban areas. Of the total census houses, about 93% were occupied and about 7.5% of the houses in India were vacant. So, besides this, 1.3 million houses were occupied but found to be locked. 8.5 million houses, that is about 2.5, I'm sorry, 2.8% were used as residence come other purposes, and remaining about 20% of the houses in India were used as institutional purposes, such as either for the use of shops, office, schools, colleges, hotels, converting into lodges, guest houses, hospital, factory, places of worship, and so on. So, good houses in the rural areas are less than half against two-thirds such houses in urban areas. In short, we can say that livable houses in the rural areas are just 47.5%. So, this is the overall scenario in India with respect to the housing conditions. When you classify the houses, basically there are different types of houses on the basis mainly on the materials used for construction and second one, the structures built on it. And when it comes to the facilities of rural housing, of course, houses with their own latrine facilities in rural area is at yet another major challenge. Sanitary facilities, cooking space, water supply, refuse disposal facility, electricity, accessibility, and space for mobility are the factors considered when you talk about the facilities required for a rural housing. Almost a similar pattern was observed for bathroom facilities as well in the rural houses. In rural areas, only 15.5% of the houses were having bathrooms that are attached to the rooms. Availability of drainage facilities in these houses, the rural areas were found to be lagging much behind that in the urban areas. Nearly one fifth of the total rural houses in the rural areas did not have the facility for electricity. So, the condition of housing, especially the rural housing in India, is really pathetic. So, the perception of housing as a human requirement has been changing over the years. In the past, if you have a look into the housing scenarios, housing was looked upon primarily as a physical phenomenon which offered mere protection against uncontrollable elements such as the temperature, wind, weather climates, theft, thieves, and other forms of intrusions. So, as years went by and technologies advanced more, this conception about housing has remarkably changed. In addition to protection offered by housing, it is now being viewed as in terms of the socio-economic context as well. Housing nowadays serves many functions such as recreation, a workplace, and a storage for man's valuable purpose. So, rural housing can be used as storage for farm produce, as an animal kept or livestock hold, and can also serve recreational purposes where friends can meet to play games, relax, etc. The problem of affordable housing has been recognized as infrastructural needs. So these needs change in different ways. The changing phase of population has immediate implication for every aspect in human life. Take an example of education, transportation, infrastructure. So is with housing as well. So the amount and location of land conservation for future planning needs to be given high priority in the present scenario. Not only urban planners but rural planners also need to understand the role played by these structures on the life of the people, especially on their quality of life. While planning for rural housing, certain factors has to be considered, and the first one is the geography or the climatic conditions. Concerning the planning, design materials, construction techniques that are available in that particular area. In almost every rural areas, with exception of few, the houses are found to be made from locally available building materials. It can be stones, muds, unburned bricks, bamboos, woods, leaves, grasses, etc. See, it varies according to geography and region to region. The only fact is that even the poorest of the poor should have the affordability on this building materials rather than going for the luxury of building materials. So you should restrict yourselves from the availability of locally available materials that can be used for housing. Muds, bricks, abode or sun-dried bricks, rammed earth, bricks and cobs are materials used to build wall structures, and each material is good for different structures. And another thing that has to be paid attention is that who will occupy the house is to be considered while planning for a house. Their needs, their pattern of living, their religious ideals, occupation, etc., has to be taken into account. As I said earlier, use locally available inexpensive materials for the housing. Materials must be as energy free or energy friendly to conserve the energy. Structural stability together with an acceptable and pleasing look. Then structural um, so these were the factors when you talk about planning for the rural housing. I repeat, geographic or climatic regions concerning planning, design, materials, construction techniques. Then the person or the family which is supposed to stay in that house, their needs, the pattern of living, their religious ideals, occupation, the usage of locally available inexpensive materials, then and that materials must be energy free or eco-friendly, energy friendly products, then structural stability together with an acceptable and pleasing look. When you talk about the housing in India over the last 5 year plan, so, right from the first 5 year plan, there are certain factors that we need to keep in mind. The Community Development Movement CDM scheme was launched in 1957, soon after the first 5 year plan, which provided loans to individuals in the rural areas through cooperatives to construct houses, which means that much focus has not been given on the first 5 year plan on housing. Then the Housing Cum Construction Assistance Scheme HSCAS, HSCAS was introduced and was transferred to the state sectors from 1974 to 75. Then Village Housing Scheme VHS was introduced in the year 1957, same on the second 5 year plan period, to provide construction assistance to the beneficiaries, and then was transferred to the state sector. So it was really shocking to see that no focus on housing was given on any of the programs thereafter, like even the 20-point program or on integrated rural development program. All these programs has given due importance and priority to agriculture sector and on poverty eradication. So not much focus happened on housing between the second 5 year plan and the till the sixth 5 year plan. During the sixth 5 year plan in 1980 to 85, the HUDCO and the GIC, which were established for providing finance towards the urban housing, also entered the rural housing sector. And Indira Awas Yojana was launched with the objective of providing financial assistance to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and freed bounded laborers for the construction of their houses, which was a remarkable thing in with respect to the housing scenario in India. Thereafter, the National Housing Bank (NHB) was also established in 1988 to expand the base of housing finance during the seventh plan period. So, the first national housing policy was launched in 1994 during the eighth 5 year plan. The tenure was 1992 to 1997, and the goal was to reduce homelessness, improve the conditions of the dilapidated houses, and to provide minimum level of basic services and amenities to all. So we should say that that was a remarkable thing which happened for the housing conditions in India. The National Housing Policy was launched in 1994, which really had a significant impact on the housing scenarios, even though not much, but again, a better scenario on the conditions of the houses in India. And what do you mean by dilapidated? It is in a state of despair or ruin as a result of the pionegation. So dilapidated houses means houses which are really in the wedge of total destruction. And in the ninth plan, the introduction of a credit cum subsidy scheme and the launch of a sub scheme named Innovative Stream for Rural Household and Habitat Development, ISR H2D, which would provide cost effective, environment friendly, and scientifically tested houses to the beneficiaries, was also launched during the ninth plan. And also launched the SAP's Special Action Plan, which had rural housing as one of its major components. So, these were the remarkable initial initial measures taken by the government during the 5 year plans. So, repeat the Community Development Movement Scheme in 1958, thereafter, the Housing Cum Construction Assistance Schemes in 1974-75, again in 57, the Village Housing Scheme. Then, thereafter, no priority, only focus on poverty alleviation and agriculture, the production. Then, on sixth 5 year plan, HUDCO and GIC gave priority to the rural housing scenario sector as well, along with the housing sectors. Then was the launching of Indira Awas Yojana. Then came the National Housing Bank on 1988, and on again on the eighth 5 year plan, the first national housing policy was launched, and in the ninth plan, the introduction of innovative stream for rural household and habitat development was introduced, along with special action plan where the rural housing was one of the main components. Then in 2005, during the 10th 5 year plan, that is during 2002 to 2007, the launch of Bharat Dharman program was a major step taken by the government of India towards rural infrastructural development and rural housing on a national scale. So this program prioritized shelters for economically weaker sections of the community as well as the low income group people. That is what EWS LIG category means. Then a working group for rural housing in 2006 was constituted by the Planning Commission during the 11th 5 year plan period, which was given the task of estimating the rural housing shortages in the country, and the government agencies on uh, the role of government agencies on how land and finance can be acquired for rural housing was also presented. So some remarkable changes happened thereafter from 10th 5 year plan onwards, and it also laid an emphasis on the use of sustainable housing technologies and the synthesis between research and development institutions, financial institutions, and implementing agencies for making housing facilities more accessible to the rural homeless people. The National Housing and Habitat Policy in 1998 was primarily a continuation of the national housing policies of 1994. So the first national housing policy, which emerged on 1994, was amended to 1998 as National Housing and Habitat Policy. And this policy tried to provide private and cooperative sectors to take greater initiatives in the development and construction of houses, not only in urban areas but also in rural areas as well. And there were a lot of programs for rural housing launched by the government of India as well. Some of the major programs for the rural housing were, as usual, the Indira Awas Yojana, which was the most comprehensive housing program for the rural population in India. And it has its roots in the sixth 5 year plan when it was launched as a sub scheme of RLEGP, that is Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program. Later, it became a sub scheme of Javagar Rozgar Yojana, JRY, and in 1996 it became an independent program under the Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. So it was basically conceived to be a part of the larger strategy of rural poverty eradication. Indira Awas Yojana is a cash subsidy based program under which assistance is provided to the rural BPL families, that is families below the poverty line, for constructing dwelling units on their own using their own design and technology. So the subsidy is shared between the central and the state governments, where the center being the major contributor. Indira Awas Yojana is implemented through the DRDAs, that is District Rural Development Agencies. So at the village level, Grama Sabha is responsible for the verification of the processes and has to identify and select the real beneficiaries for this particular project. The Department of Rural Employment and Poverty Alleviation, DREPA, is responsible for the release of the central fund. That is, the central share has to be released by this particular department for providing overall guidance and undertaking policies, monitoring and evaluation of the rural housing programs at the national level. Next one was the Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana or Gramin Awas Yojana, which was launched in 2000-2001 in all the states and union territories in India in order to achieve the objective of sustainable human development at the village level. So, Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana provides additional allocation of central assistance to the states and union territories for selected basic minimum services. And it has 5 components as well, like primary health, primary education, rural shelter, rural drinking water, and nutrition. So rural electrification was also added as an additional component during 2001-2002 period, and this program is further subdivided into 2 parts, which has again 2 more components: program for the rural connectivity with 50% allocation from the central government, and rest of the programs like the primary health, primary education, rural shelter, rural drinking water and nutrition with the remaining 50% allocation. So 50% allocation was given to rural connectivity, and the rest of the 50 was given to all the other sectors. Then came the Bharat Nirman program, which was launched in 2005 and was a boost to the rural infrastructure development. And this program has 6 components: rural infrastructure, irrigation, roads, housing, water supply, telecommunication, and power. The basic idea was somewhat similar to this Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, and it aims to provide the basic amenities in rural areas to bridge the rural-urban gap. So these are all about the rural development programs being focused on the rural housing in India. So the next part, on part 2, we will discuss about the methods and innovations and the technologies adopted for promoting rural houses. And in part 3, we will discuss on the case studies on rural housing at Rural Technology Park in National Institute for Rural Development and Panchayat Raj at Hyderabad. So stay tuned. Thank you.